President Zelensky says Ukrainian and US delegations will meet in Saudi Arabia next week. In a statement on his Telegram channel, Zelensky said Ukraine would work constructively for a, quote, quick and reliable peace. He's scheduled to meet the Saudi Crown Prince on Monday ahead of the negotiations. EU leaders have backed a proposal to boost defence spending across the bloc. The European Council called for the Commission to urgently enact the plan, which could mobilise as much as 800 billion euros. But leaders could not reach agreement on Ukraine, with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban opposing language pledging more military aid and setting out conditions for peace, text that was instead issued by the other 26 leaders at the summit. And let's get out to Sylvia for more from Brussels. Sylvia, I was just having a terrific conversation about how large this spending package is on defence, but that there could be execution issues bringing it to bear. How it is deployed, if it happens, is going to be crucial too.
No doubt, and of course that's why the upcoming conversations among the finance ministers will be important, so we get a better idea of how this defense spending is actually going to work. But nonetheless, we shouldn't forget that what we witnessed yesterday was a historic moment from an EU perspective. We had the 27 leaders saying yes to more meaningful defense spending. And with that in mind, I want to show you this specific statement from the leaders. Yesterday, they actually called on the Commission, and I quote here, to explore further measures that will facilitate significant defense spending at the national level. The reason why I'm showing this quote is because there are some member states that are pushing for flexibility, I should say, in the fiscal rules for a long period of time. So they have that flexibility to spend on defense without having to be worried about fiscal targets. This is important because one of the countries pushing for that is actually Germany. Usually, flexibility is used for short periods of time, like we witnessed during the pandemic. So countries have more fiscal leeway to do what they need to do. But this time around, they are looking at these pressures on the geopolitical front, and they believe that this is actually likely to be an issue for the long run, and therefore they are assessing here whether that flexibility in the fiscal rules is needed for longer. Let's see how those conversations will evolve. Nonetheless, we did hear from President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. She was the one that presented key defense spending measures earlier this week, and she did highlight that at this stage we are looking at the bloc stepping up.
Today, history is being written. We are coming out of this European Council very determined to ensure Europe's security and to act with the scale, the speed and the resolve that this situation demands. We are determined to invest more, to invest better and to invest faster together. From Paris to London to Brussels, we have shown that we are willing and able to step up our joint efforts and to coordinate effectively. Fact is that Europe is facing a clear and present danger.
So we knew already last year that in 2025 we would likely be seeing the Europeans spending more on defense. But of course, the events of this year, the speech of J.D. Vance at the Munich Security Conference, then the clash between Zelensky and Donald Trump in the Oval Office, all of that have made that even more pressing for EU leaders. So with that context in mind, I want to show you this exchange with the Danish Prime Minister.
For me, the most important thing now is to be very frank, to rearm Europe, and I don't think we have a lot of time. So rearming Europe, spend on defense and deterrence. That's the most important message, and at the same time, of course, continue to support Ukraine, because we want peace in Europe, and it cannot be done without a sustainable peace forward when it comes to Ukraine.
So I asked the Danish Prime Minister whether she had any new comments after Donald Trump earlier this week said once again that he's going to get Greenland. He said one way or the other we're going to get it. And as you heard there, the Danish Prime Minister once again chose to make no further comments on that. But even that, making a no comment, is very important in this geopolitical context, because several European officials have told me that when it comes to these comments on Greenland, the Europeans are taking a soft approach, particularly the Danish. They want to be basically not scaling things up, not putting even more pressure on that topic. And they're hoping that that approach will ease some of these tensions with Donald Trump. But of course, let's see how that's going to play out in Washington.
Sylvia, thank you very much for bringing us the latest on what has been a huge week in Brussels.